The garden was dressed like a dream. White roses curled around the trellises, their petals glistening in the soft morning sun. Strings of fairy lights hung like stars waiting to twinkle at night. The grass was freshly mowed, fragrant and green, and the wooden chairs were lined up in perfect rows, holding a sea of familiar faces. I stood at the edge of the aisle, my heart pounding louder than the string quartet. My fingers trembled inside the delicate lace of my bouquet. I could hear Ethan's voice from the altar, low and steady as he spoke to the minister, waiting for me. The moment I had imagined for years, the moment I'd fought for, prayed for, was finally here. My white gown shimmered with tiny pearls, hugging my waist before flowing out in a cascade of silk. The veil brushed my cheeks like a soft sigh. I took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm inside me, and stepped forward. As I walked down the aisle, the eyes of every single person locked onto me. There was love in some gazes, curiosity in others, but the sharpest look came from my mother. Her smile was there, yes, but it was the kind of smile that hides something darker. A secret she wasn't sharing, a judgment she held like a blade behind her teeth. When I reached Ethan, he took my hands in his. His eyes, warm, unwavering, made me feel safe in a way I never had before. The minister began the ceremony, and I repeated my vows, promising to love him with everything I was. The reception was a whirlwind of laughter, clinking glasses, and whispered congratulations. My parents sat proudly, their smiles wide for the cameras. My sister Leela hovered close by, a perfect picture of happiness, even as she sneaked glances at Ethan, or so I thought. Everything seemed perfect, until it wasn't. Later that evening, as the music slowed and the guests began to drift toward the dance floor, my mother approached me. Her perfume, a heavy scent of roses with something sharp beneath, filled my senses. She leaned in close, her voice low and smooth, but dripping with poison. "Your sister deserves the car his parents gave you," she said, her lips curling just enough to keep it from sounding like a question. "Not you," I froze. The words hung in the air like a cruel joke with no punchline. The room buzzed around me, but all I heard was that sentence echoing over and over. "Your sister deserves the car, not you." I forced a smile, my throat tight. "Mom, what are you talking about?" I whispered. Her smile didn't waver, just a mother's observation, she said softly, stepping away as if nothing had happened. I clutched the bouquet harder, my fingers digging into the delicate petals. How long had she been holding this resentment? How many times had she wished I was someone else, or better yet, not here at all? That night, as I danced with Ethan under the twinkling lights, the warmth I should have felt turned icy cold. I kept stealing glances at my mother and sister, both laughing too easily, sharing private looks that felt like secret conspiracies. For a fleeting moment, I wished I could disappear, not just from this room, but from the family that had never truly wanted me. But then Ethan's hand closed around mine, steady and reassuring, and I realized this was my life now. My fight wasn't over, not by a long shot. The days after the wedding passed in a blur of smiles and photographs, but my mother's words wouldn't leave me. "Your sister deserves the car, not you." They looped in my mind like a song I couldn't turn off. It wasn't just about the car, it was about everything. Every gift, every moment, every scrap of love I'd fought for and never quite received. It wasn't new. It was only the latest verse in a melody I'd known since childhood. Leela had always been the golden girl. From the moment she could walk, she sparkled a whirlwind of laughter, curls, and charm. People adored her. Teachers forgave her mistakes, relatives spoiled her, and my parents looked at her as if she hung the moon itself. And me, I was the quiet one, the responsible one, the girl who cleaned up the mess, who stayed quiet when things weren't fair, who accepted maybe next time, as a form of love. I remember one Christmas vividly. I must have been 10. I had spent weeks making a scrapbook for Mom, filled with drawings, notes, and pressed flowers. Leela, on the other hand, had forgotten to get her a gift. On Christmas morning, Mom opened my present and smiled faintly before turning to Leela. "That's okay, sweetheart," she said, wrapping Leela in her arms. "You're my gift every day." I stood there, holding my empty wrapping paper, feeling invisible. That feeling never left me. Growing up, the pattern only deepened. When I won a school competition, Mom said, "That's nice, but don't brag. Leela might feel bad." When I got into university on a full scholarship, she didn't even come to the ceremony. Instead, she stayed home to help Leela practice for a beauty contest. And when I landed my first job, she said, "Good, maybe you can help your sister financially. She's still finding herself. That was the phrase she used to excuse everything. Every failure, every broken promise, every selfish act. And I, ever the obedient daughter, kept giving, thinking one day she'd see me, but she never did. So when I saw her at my wedding, clinging to Leela as if she were the bride, I shouldn't have been surprised. I shouldn't have felt that stab of betrayal when she introduced Leela to Ethan's parents, saying, "Isn't she just stunning, the kind of girl who could charm anyone?" My mother's voice carried pride, a pride I had longed for all my life. Leela smiled sweetly, pretending not to notice the weight of her sister's silence. Ethan laughed politely, and I stood there, smiling, playing the part of the happy bride. While inside, something cracked quietly. That night, lying beside Ethan, I stared at the ceiling. His breathing was slow and even, already lost to dreams. I should have felt safe, loved. But instead, I felt hollow. Because deep down, I knew no matter how far I ran, no matter how many milestones I reached, my mother's voice would always chase me, whispering that I wasn't enough. But what she didn't know was that something had begun to change inside me. A small ember was burning, slow, steady, and patient. For the first time, I didn't want her approval anymore. I wanted something far greater. I wanted to be free. The months after the wedding should have been a time of bliss, a gentle settling into a new life with Ethan. For a while it was. His smile was warm, his touch reassuring. He was the safe harbor I'd dreamed of after years adrift in my family's storm. I felt lucky, maybe even loved, but little things began to unsettle me. At first, they were easy to ignore. A text message that buzzed too quietly, a phone call that ended the moment I walked into the room, a sudden plan change I wasn't invited to. I told myself I was imagining things, that the nerves of marriage were playing tricks on me. Then came Leela's visits. She claimed she wanted to help, planning surprises for you, she said with a sweet smile, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. She dropped by unannounced, sometimes staying longer than I was comfortable with. She was everywhere, helping Ethan with menus, suggesting decorations, even going shopping with his mother. At first, I tried to trust her. She was my sister after all. Didn't sisters have each other's backs? But a small voice inside me whispered otherwise. One evening, I found my phone buzzing with a message from Leela. "Don't worry, Ethan says everything is on track. She won't find out." My breath caught. Who was she talking about? Me, what was on track? I stared at the message, heart pounding, as another ping lit up the screen. "We have to be careful. Mom says it's important Ethan stays on our side." Cold dread crept into my chest. I grabbed Ethan's phone when he left it unattended, scrolling through texts, calls, hidden messages. Names I didn't recognize popped up, all linked to Leela and my mother. Lunch dates I never knew about, plans that didn't include me, secrets that whispered of betrayal. When I confronted Ethan, his face fell. His voice faltered as he tried to explain. "It's not what it looks like, Amara," he said, avoiding my eyes. "Your mom, she asked me to help Leela get closer to the family. She thinks it's better this way. Better for whom?" I wondered. His words felt like knives. The truth seeped out slowly. Leela and my mother had been weaving a quiet web, a plan to edge me out of Ethan's life. They whispered behind my back, plotting to make Leela the perfect daughter-in-law, the golden girl who would secure a place with Ethan's wealthy family. I wasn't just being ignored. I was being erased. The betrayal cut deeper than any wound I'd known. But this time I didn't break. I swallowed the tears and the shock and turned inward. I began collecting evidence, screenshots, recordings, dates, times. Every lie, every secret, every manipulation. I built my case silently, like a shadow gathering strength beneath the light. My family had always underestimated me. They thought I was the quiet one, the obedient one, the one who would take whatever was given and never question. They were wrong. The fire inside me grew hotter, not with anger, but with fierce clarity. I wasn't going to beg for scraps of love or approval anymore. I was going to take back what was mine. Exactly 1 year after the wedding that was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, I invited my family and Ethan's parents over for dinner. It wasn't a celebration, not really. It was a reckoning. The house was warm with soft candlelight, the scent of jasmine drifting through the rooms. Everyone wore their Sunday best, smiles practiced and polite, but the air was thick with unspoken tension. My mother was radiant, as always, her eyes flicking around the room like a queen surveying her court. Leela sat close to Ethan's side, her smile effortless, as if she owned the moment. Ethan himself seemed distracted, guilt softening the edges of his usually steady gaze. I stood in the center of the living room, heart pounding with a mixture of fear and fierce determination. The years of silence, of hurt, of betrayal, had sharpened me like a blade. Tonight, I wasn't the obedient daughter anymore. Tonight, I was in control. After the first course was cleared away, and the guests settled with their wine, I asked for everyone's attention. Before we finish, I began, my voice calm but carrying an edge. I have a gift to give. A hush fell over the room. My mother's smile tightened. Leela's eyes sparkled with curiosity, probably expecting another favor or a polite gesture. I pointed toward the driveway where, under the golden glow of the street lamp, a sleek silver car gleamed in all its glory. The car, I said softly, that Ethan's parents gave me on our wedding day. The room shifted. Ethan's mother's eyes widened. My mother's hand tightened around her napkin, and Leela's breath hitched. I held up a small remote, clicking it. From the car's speakers, voices filled the air, clear and undeniable. My mother's voice, cold and calculating. She doesn't love him the way Leela could. Leela will fit better with his family. We'll make sure of it. Leela's voice followed, sweet and cruel. Once she's out of the way, I'll make him mine. Gasps erupted. Ethan's face crumpled, shame and disbelief mingling as he looked between us. My mother's composure cracked, her eyes darting to me, then to Leela, her perfect little plan unraveling in real time. I stepped forward, meeting each stunned gaze. You were right, Mom. I said softly, I didn't deserve that car. Leela's smile faltered as I continued, because I deserved something much more valuable than a car. I deserved peace. I deserved honesty. And tonight, for the first time in my life, I have it. I handed the car keys to Leela, not as a gift, but as a symbol of what she'd stolen. Take it, I said. But remember, keys don't unlock love or loyalty. They only open doors. Tears sprang to my mother's eyes, but they were tears of defeat. Ethan's parents looked away, their faces heavy with disappointment. Ethan reached for my hand, but I shook my head gently. I don't need anyone to hold me anymore. I said, voice steady, I stand on my own now. With that, I turned and walked out the door, leaving behind a room full of shattered illusions and broken lies. Outside, the cool night air wrapped around me like a balm. For the first time, I breathed freely, unburdened, unbroken, and unafraid. The past was behind me. The future was mine, and I was ready to live it on my own terms.